Georgio ASMR.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is Georgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber, and I'm back with another exciting video where I will be talking about black comic books that you didn't know exist. And I will say this, some of these comic books you may be able to find online. I will have links in the description box of this video for the comic books you can buy online. Some of them you'll have to go to your local comic book store or your local Barnes and Noble, or if you have a Books A Million, because you'll be able to find these a lot easier there. And some of these are exclusively online, but nonetheless, you know, bear with me. This will be a lengthy video because there's so many cool comic books that I want to share with you all. So anyways, let's get into it, shall we? So the first one right here is Malika Warrior Queen, and this is part 1. It's basically a historical fantasy epic, you know, set in the 15th century West Africa, and the story follows the exploits of Queen and military commander Mallika, who struggles to keep the peace in her ever expanding empire. Growing up as a prodigy, Malika inherited the crown from her father in the most unusual ways, splitting the kingdom of Azaz in half. And after years of civil war, Malika was able to unite all of Azaz and expanding it into one of the largest empires in all of West Africa. But expansion would not come without its cost. Enemies began to rise within her council, and Azaz grabbed the attention of one of the most feared superpowers the world has ever known, the Ming Dynasty. And as Malika fights to win the clandestine war within the walls of her empire, she must now turn her attention to an indomitable and treacherous foe with plans to vanquish her entire people. So yeah, this story sounds epic as hell. And if you go on the website, and this is by YouSeek, so like you know, so if you go on the website, they have this pop-up where they'll give you a discount code to purchase, you know, on your first purchase. So you all definitely check this one out. It's a must-have indeed. Here's another fun one that you all will really like, and it's called the Tuskegee Heirs, Flames of Destiny. And basically this story is set 80 years into the future, where these young aviators, you know, they're basically in flight school and they're trying to defend their land from these villainous like organization or whatever. You can already tell where this story might end up going. It's gonna get ugly probably, and it's gonna be filled with really great humor, great animation, you know, great storytelling. And if you all know anything about the original real life Tuskegee Airmen or whatever, you're gonna really enjoy this story. And I would definitely suggest that you read up about the Tuskegee Airmen just to get an idea, because what they did is kind of gonna be what these young you know, black people go through in this particular story. And I will again have links to all of these different comic books in the description of this video. And I'm personally thinking about getting this one. It really catches my eye, just like the Malika one. So anyways, let's go on to the next one, shall we? And now here is a comic book that I just discovered the other day, and you know, it's called Catalyst Prime Noble. And so basically the description of this comic book is, you know, Catalyst Prime has begun. 1 year after the event, missing astronaut David Powell has resurfaced, and with dangerous new abilities and no memory of the man he once was. While desperately, you know, trying to regain his identity, David quickly finds himself a man on the run from shadowy forces as well as his forgotten past. And this is from writer Brandon Thomas, Horizon of, who's worked on Horizon, Civil War 2, Choosing Sides, and then of course Roger Robertson, who worked on Batman, Gotham Knights, Solo Avengers. And then of course the colorist is Joan Fernandez. So this one is very interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens once this man figures out who he is, and I want to know what all his powers are. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm definitely going to be looking into this one. And this one is kind of hard to find online, so I would definitely suggest you go into your local comic book shop, or or maybe try Barnes and Noble. You might be able to find it that way. Now we got this one right here, and this one is called Super Bee, and it's from Lion Forge Comics, and it's the same as the last one. Lion Forge, they did the last one that I just talked about, and it's under the Catalyst Prime storyline. And so basically we have Kayla Tate, who is forced to move back to her hometown of Youngstown, Ohio, in an event designated level 5 impact zone. And compared to her new life, returning to Youngstown is a step backwards, and she has a strained relationship with her childhood friend Jonah Watkins, and school is a nightmare for her, and everyone is talking about this mysterious superhero and internet sensation Cosmosis and his nighttime battles against the supposedly evil group or something. I couldn't find that much more description about this one, but you kind of get a gist of what this is. She's trying to get used to this new life, and I guess she comes across this superhero who might end up being a phony, but nonetheless it might be a fun one for you all to check out too. You never know, you might like it, right? So let's get into another one. And here we have this other new character. He's from the New 52 universe of Justice League of America, and his name is Vibe. So I'm assuming that he can control vibrations and stuff with his energy. This one looks really cool too. I really like the vibe, no pun intended, of this comic book, and I figured I would show this one. And it's the thing, I didn't even know this character exists. They don't really talk about him too much like that, but I figured I would show it anyway, so that if you all want to check it out, you can. So yeah, Vibe, you're definitely gonna have to go to the local comic book shop to get an idea about what this character is, because again, some of these are hard to find online, and if they are, the prices are very high. And now I want to talk about a character. Some of you may know him, like if you're like if you're really into comic books, or if you're a diehard Marvel / X-Men fan, you may know about this character. But there's a lot of people, surprisingly, who don't know about Bishop, and I'm going to tell you all about who Bishop is, just briefly, and of course, if you all want me to do more in-depth videos about some of these comic book characters that I mentioned here today, let me know in the comment section below. I would really appreciate it. So basically, Bishop, he made his debut in Uncanny X-Men number 282, November 1991. He was created by Wallace Portacio. Sorry if I said that wrong. And John Byrne. And his species is, of course, he's a human mutant. His team affiliates are X-Men, ONE, Xavier's Secret Enforcers. He was part of the Interpol. He was part of the 12, the Extreme Sanctions Executive, and then the NYPD, and then of course the Extreme X-Men. And then of course we got to talk about his abilities, which is energy absorption and redirection, superhuman physical attributes, which is like superhuman strength. And then of course, he has the ability to instinctively know present location, which will come very much in handy for the X-Men when trying to locate some of the evil mutants and that are trying to attack them. And so, you know, he was, of course, you know, that's how he got hired with Xavier's Security Enforcers, SCE. And you know, which is like a mutant police force from a dystopian future of the Marvel universe. And then of course, you know, he travels to the 20th century and joins the X-Men, a team he knew only as legends. And then of course, you know, Bishop experiences difficulty adjusting to the norms of the time period. And so he did appear in the X-Men animated series as well, which you all can watch on the Disney Plus app. And yeah, that's definitely a cheap plug that they didn't pay me for. But nonetheless, that's just a brief overview of who Bishop is. And I think he sounds really nice, a really fun character to learn about and read about. And so yeah, you can again, you know, I just think it's better to go in these local comic book shops and check out some of these books. That way you can just read it for yourself, and if you like it, you can just buy it right on the spot, you know. Now here's another unknown black comic book character that you all definitely never heard of. I didn't either. I saw this character Icon, who's created by DC Comics. I saw it by accident when I was searching for some of these other comic book characters and stuff. And he's really unique and interesting because, you know, he's basically he was one of the headline characters introduced by Milestone Media in the 1990s. And then he's from another planet. He has taken on the form of an African American man, but has the abilities such as flight, super strength, and vulnerability. And he uses these in partnership with Rocket, a human teenager who's using his alien technology to protect the people of the fictional city of Dakota. And so it was an ongoing series. The publication date ran from 1993 to 1997. There was only 42 issues. And of course, it was written by Dwayne McDuffie. The pencilers were M.D. Bright, and inkers was Mike Gustovich. And then the letterer is Steve Dutro. And then of course, he made his first appearance in Icon #1 in May 1993. He was created by Dwayne McDuffie and M.D. Bright. And Dwayne McDuffie, of course, is a black man who created this character. So that's really, really dope. So yeah, definitely, you know, do some, you know, research and maybe try to find this comic book right here, because it's worth looking into for sure. And now here's a brand new one, and this character was literally created on October 29th of 2019, and her name is Naomi, and is under the Wonder Comics line under DC Comics. And so, you know, basically when a fight between Superman and Mongol crashes into a small northwestern town, a local teenager named Naomi starts looking into what happened the last time a super being visited her hometown, and how that visit might tie into her own origins as an adopted child. But Naomi's seemingly harmless curiosity exposes more than just her family starting secrets. It attracts the attention of forces that could threaten the earth itself. Learning the truth about her heritage will turn Naomi's life upside down. Can she learn to control her uncanny new abilities and come to terms with her strange new place in the world before it's too late? So basically, this was just a synopsis, or basically the description of this story surrounding Naomi. At first I thought she had some kind of tie-in to Wonder Woman, but it appears that's not the case. She appears to be from another planet who got sent down to Earth, I guess, and she got adopted, kind of similar to Superman. So she might have powers similar to Superman. I'm definitely curious to see what happens in this story. This one's definitely gonna go on my to buy list for sure, and it's cool to see an original black comic book character that isn't you know, taken after, you know, existing, you know, superhero like Wonder Woman or any of the other ones, and or, you know, who has no relation to any of them in that regard. So I really like that about the Naomi comic, and I'm definitely curious to see what happens. As far as I know, there's only 3 issues of this, but the first, and they're all in like different seasons, and there's like over 160 pages, so I assume that it's just her own story, and it's a lot that goes on with it, I guess. But we'll see what happens. Once I read it, I will definitely review it for you all. So let's get into the last comic book, and this one is gonna shock a lot of you. Alright, so this one is called Nubia, Real One, which in you know, Nubia is Wonder Woman's twin sister, or at least in the previous, you know, timeline in the, you know, original Wonder Woman comic books. You know, Nubia, you know, appeared, she was made the same way as Wonder Woman was. You know, she has the same abilities, the same, you know, characteristics and stuff as Wonder Woman, if not better. But this story, but Nubia, she didn't really have like her own separate timeline or her own separate story and adventures and stuff in those original Wonder Woman comic books. So I wanted to tell you all about this new one that I just found out about last night, and it's called Nubia Real One, and it's written by L.L. McKinney, who has she's a very, very experienced book writer, because she has just a very popular fantasy novel called A Blade So Black, and the artwork for this comic book is being done by Robin Smith, who's a black woman too. And it just, in the basis of this story, it contains you know, stories about equality, identity, and then kicking it with your people, you know. So we're gonna see Nubia go through a lot of challenging stuff, and leading up to how she gets her powers. And so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna read you a brief description of this comic book, so you kind of can know what's going on and the reason behind it. So basically, it says, you know, Nubia has always been a little bit different. As a baby, she showcased Amazonian strength by pushing over a tree to rescue her neighbor's cat. But despite Nubia's similar abilities, the world has no problem telling her that she's no Wonder Woman. Even if she was, they wouldn't want her, which is very discriminatory, don't you think, y'all? But nonetheless, every time she comes to the rescue, she's reminded of how people see her as a threat, and her moms do their best to keep her safe, but Nubia cannot deny the fire within her, even if she's a little awkward about it sometimes. And even if it means people assume the worst. When Nubia's best friend, Quisha, is threatened by a boy who thinks he owns the town, Nubia will risk it all. Her safety, her home, her crush on that cute kid in English class, to become the hero society tells her she isn't. and wow, it's just really amazing just hearing the origin story, you know, behind Nubia in this story. And she's basically going through what a young black teenager would go through in today's world. And you all are I'm sure you all know what's been going on out here with the protest and our fight against racism and everything, our fight for, you know, black people to get treated equally. And that's what Nubia is fighting for in this particular comic book. And I think a lot of young black people are going to be able to relate to this story. I think even older black people who read this comic book, they'll be able to you know, relate to this story as well. So I'm super excited to read this comic book along with the Naomi one, you know. But if I had to pick, you know, out of all of them, Nubia, Mallika the warrior queen, you know, those are going to be such fun comic books to check out. And I should say that you know, Nubia is now available for pre-order on the DC Comics website. I will include the pre-order link in the description, and for as many of the ones I can find, and it will be available on February 2nd, just in time for Black History Month and of next year. So I cannot wait to see what happens next with Nubia. And you know, thank you all for tuning into this video. I apologize if it was long, but I wanted to show you all the cool comic books I find. And if you guys know of any comic books that many people haven't heard of before, definitely tell me about it in the comment section. Let me know which of these comic books are you most excited to read and purchase. And I look forward to learning more about all of this stuff with you all. I'm going to continue to use my platforms to speak out about the craziness that's going on in this world, and I'm going to definitely do my best to entertain you all with these videos. Anyways, you all be safe, be blessed. I love all of you. Have a good one. It's Georgio, your friendly neighborhood YouTuber.